Hello, my name is Ranger Mert today, and we will be learning about 3 different types of sagebrush that are found here at First Peoples Buffalo Jump State Park. The first sagebrush plant that we have at the jump is a prairie or white sagebrush. Prairie sagebrush can grow 1 to 3 feet tall and has a very strong aromatic scent. Most of the plant is silver, grayish green color, except for the flowers. The small flower heads of white sage are made up of 45 tiny round florets that are yellow or brownish in color. They are wrapped in gray-green filaries, leaf-like structures that form around the flower heads. The filaries, leaves, and stem are all covered by a very thick silver gray-white hair. The stems of the prairie sagebrush can be single or branched and have flowers all along the top half. Prairie sagebrush grows on the prairies and on plains of the western North America. It likes sandy, gravelly, and rocky loam soil. Some of the primary uses of the prairie or white sage are treating excess sweating, colds, sinus infections, and indigestion. Many tribes also have specific medicinal and ceremonial uses for the sagebrush. The Cheyenne use prairie sagebrush for its cleansing abilities, to drive away bad spirits, evil influences, and bad thoughts. It was known as man sage to the Cheyenne and was their primary plant used in many of their ceremonies. The Crow used this plant as a salve by mixing it with neck fat. They would also make a strong infusion and apply it on their skin for eczema. Prairie sagebrush was also used as a deodorant to keep people's feet and arms free of sweat and smelling fresh. The Crow used sage in nearly all of their ceremonies as well. To some, it even represents the future. The Flathead brewed a tea out of prairie sagebrush that we use for colds, and it was used externally to treat bruises or itchiness. This tea would also sometimes be mixed with rose water. The Kootenai boiled the plant to make a solution to dry up sores. The Gros Ventre made a tea to remedy a high fever, and the frontiersmen drank a tea as a remedy for Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Prairie sagebrush was greatly valued by everyone who called the plains their home. The second sagebrush plant that can be found at the jump is the Prairie Sagewort or Fringe Sagewort. The flower clusters are a 1/4 inch wide and made up of many tiny disc flowers. The plant is also very smelly, just like the prairie sagebrush. Fringe sagewort blooms from usually July to August. When it grows, it forms mounds and spreads like small shrub. The flowering stalks can grow from 4 to 16 inches tall. Covering the plant is an abundance of silvery hairs that give it a silver gray-green appearance. This plant is generally found on dry hills and plains. The Cheyenne and Sioux tribes called Fringe Sagewort women's sage or women's medicine. This is because they use the plant to cure irregularities for women as well as to help them during childbirth to push the baby along. The third sagebrush plant that you can find here at the jump is the silver sagebrush. The flower heads are produced in small clusters from the upper leaf nodes, much like the prairie sagebrush. They contain 4 to 20 little tiny florets. Silver sagebrush reaches usually 20 to 59 inches in height. It has been found that the silver sagebrush plants growing west of the Continental Divide typically grow shorter than those east of the divide. The leaves of the silver sagebrush have a very narrow blade shape. They are gray-green in color and have a distinct aroma, much like the other sagebrush plants. This plant is found in the grasslands, floodplains, and montane forests, and the flowers bloom from July to September. Meriwether Lewis collected some of these October 1, 1804, near Sentinel Creek in South Dakota during his Epic of Lewis and Clark expedition. He described it as a strong camphor plant in taste and smell. The primary medicinal purpose of silver sagebrush are to prevent infection in wounds, stop internal bleeding, and treat headaches and colds. The silver sagebrush plant was sometimes used for ceremonial purposes as well. Sagebrush is a traditional plant used for sweat lodge and ritual purification, with the smoke being used to clear the air of bad spirits and influences. From ancient times to the present, Native Americans who gather these plants for use in purification rituals prepare themselves spiritually by prayer and fasting. They gather sage and other medicinal herbs with an attitude of respect and reverence for the Earth Mother. Sacred tobacco and other offerings are sometimes given before collecting to thank the Creator and Earth Mother for providing these sources to them. When any plant is picked or an animal is taken, tobacco and prayer are given to show respect. When collecting anything from nature, always treat the landscape with respect. Ask questions to yourself like this. Does the area look healthy? Is there enough of what I'm collecting in the area for the resource to continue to grow after I am finished collecting? Am I intruding in the homes of other animals that might live in this area? Only take what you need from the area and make sure that the ecosystem is healthy and can support itself after you collect. Make sure to follow the Leave No Trace guidelines and leave the area the same or better than when you got there. Respect the wildlife around you by staying on the trail as much as possible, taking your trash with you when you leave, and being considerate to others when you are collecting. Thank you all for joining us to learn about the different sagebrush plants that grow here at First Peoples Buffalo Jump State Park. On Friday, July 17th, we will be doing 2 in-person plant hikes that will begin at the top of the jump. The first hike will be at 10 a.m. and the second at 2 p.m. If you would like to join us for either of those hikes, please email us, call, or direct message us on Facebook or Instagram to reserve your spot. Join us next week for our next Junior Ranger program on Zoom as we talk about the noxious weeds in Montana and how they impact our ecosystems. For this program, we will also be doing a weed pull at Giant Springs State Park on Saturday, July 25th. The weed pull will start at 10 a.m. and we will meet at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center parking lot. Call, email, or direct message on Facebook or Instagram to RSVP for this program as well. Thank you all for coming, and we will see you next week.